Hello, good morning everyone, and thank you for signing up and participating at our webinar. Really happy to see you guys here, and we are really pleased to have the opportunity to present to you the Talent, our latest development in terms of audio codecs. It's a small, tiny, ultra-compact IP audio codec. With me today to help me out on the technical part is Sergio Sanchez. He's an engineer at our R&D department. Good morning, Sergio.
Hi, everyone. Hello, Peter. Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us today.
Great. And before we kick off with this webinar, I want to give you a bit of housekeeping. We really appreciate that you're taking your time with this, and these dire times really inspires us to try to do things as good as we can, or at the best, and offering you these tools, these webinars, to advance our technology to you guys, and to also be able to present solutions for you guys to be able to work properly without incurring in risks. So thank you, everyone. It's good morning and good afternoon, because some of you haven't even gone to bed yet. And after the webinar, there's a Q&A session that we want you to make as many questions as you want to. In the webinar tool, there's a space where you can place those questions while we're doing the presentations. And as I said, when we get to the end of it, we'll answer your questions. If we don't answer all of the questions, we will do so via email from your registry. No problem at all. And another last thing that I want to tell you is that if you have to leave the webinar at a given point, our marketing department, they have prepared a small, short questionnaire that we want you to fill in, answer the questions as good as you can. It helps us to improve these sessions and this webinar tool and the way we use it. Okay, so I'll kick off, and we'll go ahead with this webinar. Again, 1,000 thanks to all of you. And before we get into the matter, I'd like to present a little bit of AEQ. AEQ, as you may know, for you who don't know us, we have been existing for over 40 years, and we develop and manufacture broadcasting equipment, or broadcast electronics, if you wish. It's mainly for audio or broadcast audio. We do also video monitors, we do intercom systems. In reality, we do anything that is related to broadcast communications. We do also audio storage and some automation systems. We have been present on the international market for all these years, and we have a very important presence as well at sporting events such as the upcoming Olympic Games. And we've been doing this since 1988, basically, at these large sporting events. We're headquartered in Madrid. We have offices in the US, Mexico, Portugal, and India. And as I said in the previous introduction, is that the result of this pandemic and the work through 2020 that was dire to everyone and difficult for everyone, we have been focusing on developing a solution to adapt the way we can give you equipment to help you in your production, and to be able to work normally through the pandemic. And the Talent was born through this job and this situation. So what are we going to see today? Well, we're going to do an equipment overview, and we will tell you a little bit why the Talent, or what the Talent was designed for. We will show you the front panel of the equipment, which is very comprehensive and simple. And then Sergio will help me with all the technical parts that is related to configuration and control, and the applications that are associated to the Talent, how we connect, the connectivity, and that includes also the local connectivity and local audio routing, and then the advantages of Bluetooth in this equipment and what you can use the Bluetooth for associated to this equipment. And then we will go through a few very simple use examples or how to use the unit. And we'll talk about the algorithms that the unit or our Phoenix family of codecs are including. And that's it. And then we will look at some other associate equipment that you can use to connect to the studio with the Phoenix Talent. And then we finish with the Q&A session. And as I said, there is a space in the webinar tool where you can make your questions. All right, so let's kick off with the equipment overview. As you can see, well, I can show you the equipment here as well. It's tiny. It's not big at all. It's almost the size of my palm. It's basically half size A4 or letter sized paper. That's the footprint of it. And as you can see, we have very few controls on the front panel. There's just a couple of rotary encoders and a few switches. And then there are, of course, some indicators and LEDs underneath the polycarbonate cover. We have a few connectors as well, of course. There's some 3.5 millimeter jacks, mini jacks, stereo mini jacks. They're in and out to connect external audio or to have an auxiliary output if you wish. And then there's the RJ45 connector, of course, at the rear. Then there's a USB port and power connectors. And to the side of the unit, we have the microphone input through an XLR and then a 1/4-inch headphone output. And then last but not least, the fantastic price of this unit. It's 495 euros or $595 US, factory Madrid, Spain. So it's X work. So take into account that the local pricing might vary a little bit depending on transport and customs and other fees that you might have to incur as you're importing the equipment. So the Talent, what was it designed for? Well, as I said, we have been focusing on making equipment to enable you guys to work from home as much as you can, or outside the studios, and trying to get away from the crowded environment as much as we can. So this is actually a unit that was made to convey the microphone for our talents, hosts, DJs from their homes and outside the studio environment, to take those signals and bring them into the studio, and then put them through the console in the studio and on air, and that's it. But it also provides return and talkback facilities through the headphones or headset combination of the unit. It can also be used for commentary, for broadcasting outside events. For example, you can use it as an outside broadcasting unit, very simple mixing console. Obviously, you don't have a myriad of input possibilities, but you have at least 2 or 3 that Sergio will touch on later on. You can do on-site commentary, of course, and you can do off-tube commentary, of course. If you're sitting at home, you have a video return, and you can watch the match or whatever you're commenting. You can watch on your TV set and comment freely back to the studio. You can also use the unit to conduct telephone interviews, and you can use your smartphone as the telephone hybrid, or your telephone interface if you wish, or you can use the available apps like Skype, WhatsApp, or any other app that you have in the smartphone that is using audio to communicate. You can use it for sporadic communications as well. You can give it to politicians, for example, if they have to contribute at any given moment, or we can do simultaneous remote translations. These are just a few examples of what you can use the Talent for. And what it was designed for, as I said, in essence, is basically to take a microphone, encode it with high quality encoding, get it back to the studio as a good signal with a perfect signal, and then on air, and that's it. All right, front panel, real quickly, and Sergio will go into this when he's presenting the actual user interfaces, and he will explain in further detail when we go on to the app as well. As you can see, it's very simple. It has a microphone and headphone level adjustments, these rotary encoders here. And then there's a call and answer button, which is the green. It looks like a cell phone, basically the old cell phone type phones. And then you have a hang up button as well, or cancel. Then there's an indicator for incoming signal and outgoing signals that you have here. And you have other indicators like on/off buttons, and if it's connected, if you have your Bluetooth connectivity on or not, if your mic is on air or not on air, and if we have a routing to the analog outputs of the unit. Then a very important button on this one is the help button that allows us to call the attention of the station operator or the technician in the studio. You know, if we hook up to the internet and we need help to configure the unit, we can't talk to him, but we can at least signal back into the studio in the control application that Sergio will show you later, that you need some help. So the talent doesn't need to be configured by yourself or as a talent, but can be configured by a technician, and you can focus on basically what you need to do, and that is to talk, to use your voice and convey a good message to your audience, and have the audience participate through phone or interviews. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Sergio, who will go into the technical parts here, and he will do the configuration and control applications, and I'm sure we will learn a lot from Sergio. So,
okay,
here you go, Sergio.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for your quick and good introduction to this product. You have already explained how to use it manually from the control panel, and now I will explain some more things like remote control of the unit. We will see that there are two options. Then we will also explain how to make connections, to make establish audio connections to the studio or whatever you want to send your audio to. And we will also explain the internal audio routing of the unit. Okay, that is very, very flexible. And we will finish with an explanation of Bluetooth, what Bluetooth does in this unit, and what we can do with it. Okay, so first of all, I will comment that the unit can be controlled in three ways. The first of all, we have already seen local control, but as you can imagine, it is very limited because you have very few controls. This was done on purpose, of course, just to make the operation very simple. But sometimes you will need to do something else. You will need to select who are you going to call to, for example. Maybe you will need to change your some of your advanced audio settings, or maybe you will need to change your communications mode or some maintenance tasks. Okay, so in this case, you have another two options. The first of all is our PC software called Control Phoenix, that some of you may already know because it is common to all of our Audiocodec products, all the Phoenix family. And it's a software that allows you to control multiple audio codecs at the same time, and you can configure everything in the unit. Okay, so every single detail and option can be controlled from here. Alternatively, you have a new approach to control that we have developed for this product based on smart devices as a software application that runs on a smart device that you may have at hand, and it connects via Bluetooth to the unit. Okay, this is a local control as opposed to Control Phoenix that may be local but can also be performed through the internet remotely. As I said, with this app, you have to have your phone close to the unit, and you have access to many options. Okay, not all of them, not all the details, but the most used options that you may need, like selecting your who you are going to call to, where are you going to call to, the communications mode, calling algorithms, some basic configuration of the unit like IP configuration, etc. And of course, audio settings. In any case, we are going to see that later on. Okay, I think that the best way to show you is to actually display the software and the app for you and operate the unit in real time so you can see. So I have prepared a small installation here. Okay, you can see this is Control Phoenix. It might look familiar to many of you. Hopefully, if you have other AEQ codecs. And as you can see now, we have only 2 codecs installed. The first one, the top one, is a talent. You may see that it has slightly different look. We have taken the opportunity to modernize its look a bit, but it's just the same. This talent is right here with me. Okay, you can see it. And we also have a Phoenix Studio. In fact, this unit is the test unit we have for our customers to make calls, to test audio and so on. And it's located okay, in the internet, so it's not physically here. I'm controlling it through the internet. Okay, as you can see, we have the basic boxes where we have some basic information about the unit, like its status, its IP address, its name in this installation. In this case, we have called the talent demo, and the Phoenix Studio is called master because it is our test master unit. And we also have its URI. Its URI is the name you should call it to when calling in SIP mode. Okay, it has one name, and Studio has 2 names because it has 2 channels. Okay. Talent has a communications channel, a single one. Then we have some buttons here and indicators. The most important one is this call button that allows us to make calls, to establish calls, and also to answer. And you have also some indicators here. In particular, these 2 ones are RX and TX are audio presence indicators for received audio. And you also have it that in this in the front panel of the unit, the green speaker, and also for the transmit level. Okay, in the unit instead of this in the unit you have a view meter, that is much more convenient for adjusting your send level. For more options, you have 3 buttons here that are equivalent to these ones here plus a mixer one. So the top one is for configuration. Here we will access to all the configuration of the unit. The second one is to access a mixer that we will see later on to adjust all the audio settings. And here is a real-time view meter to show you precision level measurements for your inputs and outputs for the communications channel. Okay, so let's start with configuration here. This button gives access to several options. The most important one is general, and here we can see a diagram of the whole unit that I think that it explains quite graphically how it works. At the left you have the input block, and at the right you have the outputs block, and in the middle you have like the program, the communications channel. So the first things you need to do is to configure your inputs. The result of this input, the mixed audio, is sent to the encoder that compresses the audio in the selected algorithm. You can select the algorithm here, and you will have a wide variety of algorithms. In case you are in SIP mode, you have profiles. Okay, at the left you see several profiles, and each profile has a list of preferred actual algorithms. In case you are working in RTP, as we will see later on, you will have a direct list of all the support algorithms that are not few. There are many. Okay, once the audio is encoded, it is sent via the interface, the communications channels, in the selective mode. You have 3 modes for this IP audio codec. RTP, that is a basic communications mode, SIP, based on an external proxy server. We will see the advantage later on, and DirectSIP, that is like something in the middle. It uses SIP signaling, but it doesn't require an external server. Okay, once you make the communication, as we will see later, the audio stream is sent to the IP network and connected to the remote peer. But as the unit is bidirectional, the audio stream from the other unit will travel through the IP network and reach our talent, and the audio will be decoded in the same algorithm. So we select it only here, and it is also used for decoding. The result decoded audio is sent to the output, okay, as we want. So we will see how we do that. Well, I think that the best way is to have a small demonstration, and first thing to do is to configure your audio. Okay, so you can click here in the config mix button, and you will see this. Okay, this is a mixer that allows you to configure all the audio routing in your talent unit. At the left, you can see the inputs. You can see two inputs. This one is the microphone, okay, and you can adjust its gain here, or of course also in the unit, okay, and all operates simultaneously, of course, because the control is coherent and real time. So as I said, you can select your microphone gain, and also whether you are going to send it to the program or not, the on air. Okay, this corresponds to the red key at the bottom of the unit. You can also connect your phantom power supply in case your microphone needs that. This is typical in condenser microphones. Then we have another input here. This corresponds to the Bluetooth input and also to the auxiliary line input. Both of them are mixed together by hardware. And here you have a fader, but this is not really a level control, but a level selector. This is used to adjust to different standard levels. Okay. So in case you need to have a proper fader with soft or with fine control, you will need to provide it externally or using the app, as we will see later on, in case you are sending audio via your telephone. Of course, this input can also be sent to the program or not, and if you select both of them, of course, they will be mixed together and sent to the program. Okay, this is all about inputs, and these are the outputs. You have two outputs. The main one is the headphone one, of course. You can connect, as we will see later, many types of headphones, and you can select, of course, the output volume here. You can also adjust it from the right total encoder in the unit, and then you have to select what do you want to listen. You have three channels here. The first one is program, so this is the communications channel, and you are going to listen to both what you are sending and to what you are receiving from the remote peer. And the balance between those two directions is selected with this TX-RX panorama slider. Okay, so if you select only TX, you will only listen to yourself, and if you select RX, you will only listen to what the studio or the remote peer is sending to you. Okay, usually you need to adjust it to a middle level because you want to hear yourself. Usually remote peers or the studios don't return your own audio because it will be delayed and it will be tricky to speak with a delay. So you usually prefer to have local feedback and some portion of the reception, of course. You can also select the microphone or line input directly, so you can have a local listen for that signals. This can be useful to have a queue or a pre-listen for these signals before sending them on air. So, for example, you can be speaking to the program, and at the same time you have the line input off air, but you can listen to it in your headphones. So you can tweak your audio, you can select the track you're going to play or the audio you're going to send, and once it is ready, you can put it on air. Okay. So this is useful as a pre-listen. You can also use the microphone input to have local feedback, and then you can adjust the program just for reception. Okay, this way you can also listen to your microphone. Okay, this is the other output, the line output combined with Bluetooth output, and you can do just the same, adjust the level and also select what you're going to send to that output. This output can be used, for example, to record the produced audio or use the unit as a mixer and record that in an external unit like a PC or whatever. And you can also use this control to send audio to the telephone and make a conference with third-party people. For example, you can make a phone call and you can send your microphone to him or to her, and this way you can make an interview, for example, a remote interview at the same time you are talking, and all of that is sent to the program if you select this, for example. Okay, so you have a lot of flexibility with this simple setup. Okay, so once you have selected what you are going to send to program, as we said, it is sent through the channel and received, and you have also selected what you are going to listen, so that is sent to the outputs. Okay, so now that we more or less know how to configure the unit, next thing is to know how to make a real communication. Okay, so as with the rest of the Phoenix family of IP audio codecs, you have three basic modes to make a communication. Proxy SIP uses an external server just to call the other end by its name. You don't need to know its IP or port. Okay, so it is in charge. This protocol is in charge of establishing the communication and negotiating also the coding algorithm. Okay, and in order to make a SIP call, you need to have both units, your unit and the remote end, registered, usually in the same server. And it's worth noting that AEQ provides a SIP account in our free SIP server from factory. So when you receive it, you will have the unit ready to call in SIP to any other unit registered in this server, like our test unit or any other Phoenix that you may have or other company may have. Okay. Of course, you can install or use another SIP server of your preference, and you can also operate without a server in direct SIP mode. Okay, in this case, you need to know the IP address of the remote end, but at least you can forget about negotiating the coding and the ports. Okay, this mode is more used for compatibility, but not very common. And last but not least, we have the RTP mode. In its basic form, RTP is a very simple communication protocol. In fact, it is also used in SIP in the background to send the audio, but you can also use it alone. Okay. In order to make an RTP call, you need to know the IP address and remote port of the remote end. And in theory, you need to know also your IP and your port, because you will need to make the communication in both ways to be bidirectional. Okay, but we have solved this and make it very simple with our smart RTP mode that is included in the unit. So you only need to know the IP address and port of one of the ends, usually the studio end. So you will call that IP and port from the talent, and if in the remote end, sorry, there is an AEQ unit, it will automatically return the call in the same algorithm. So the call is established very simply, as we will see now. So I think that the best way to learn this is to make an example call or two. Okay, as you can see, the unit is now configured in proxy SIP mode, and as it says, okay, it is already registered using this test account. I must D2, I plus D2. But you will have another user here, okay, as I said, because it will be loaded from factory. So we want to call the master test unit. It has 2 channels, and we usually have the first channel configured in proxy and the second one in RTP, just to be able to check both ways. So if we want to call the unit, just click here. We have several ways to dial here. We can just type a name here. This is the name of the Phoenix Master SIP channel. Or we can also click here and access the talent callbook. From factory, it will come with 2 contacts, as you can imagine, for testing SIP and RTP modes. Okay, so you can simply select one of these, click, and call. Sorry for the screen switching. Okay, so now you have seen that the Phoenix Studio is automatically responding the call. Okay, and it has some audio playing here. You can see in the view meters that it has some audio playing in both channels in parallel, PX. And you can also check here that your talent is receiving this audio. Of course, if we have some microphone or something here connected, you will see also the TX view meters showing here and also in the master as a reception. So you see it's as simple as that. Okay, you can make the calls here from the software, or just dial the last call with the button. So for example, if we want to hang up the call, just do a long press here. Okay, and the call will be disconnected. Okay, as we have already selected a destination, we can now repeat this same call by touching here. Okay, in case you want to call to a different location, you will need to select the location with this software, or as we will see later on, using the application, the phone application. What if we want to call in RTP? Okay, we will here change the mode to RTP. Okay, and now the way to call is a bit different, the naming, but you can also use the callbook. Okay, select your talent, the test master RTP. Okay, and as you can see, in the text box is filled with an IP and port. Okay, of course you can type this manually too, but as you can see, this is the IP address of the remote end, the public IP address of the studio. In this case, this IP address is the same as the one that the codec has, because it is directly connected to the internet, but usually you have to type here the public IP address of the remote end. And this is the port. This is used to direct to different codec channels. In case you have several receiving codec channels in the studio, they will tell you which port do you need to call to. Okay, so just make the call. Okay, and as you can see, the call is established just in the same way. It's as simple as using SIP. Okay, you only need to know the IP address and port. Of course, you can forget about the IP address and port if someone is already configuring the talent and storing these contacts in the callbook. So the actual user of the unit doesn't need to remember. Okay, as you can imagine, there are many more options in this software. For example, you can manage the callbooks. Okay, you cannot do that anywhere else. You have to do this here and store them in the codec. And you can also manage the coding algorithms. I didn't tell you, but when we are not making a call, we can select a coding algorithm here in general. As I said, here in select codec. In RTP, we have a full list of all the supported codecs. You can see that we have legacy ones like D722 or D711 in 2 modes. We have also older codecs that still sound good, like MP2. We have PCM in case you are brave enough and your network supports for that extended bit rate, because it is not compressing the audio. Okay. AQLD is a compatibility mode only available in AEQ codecs with extended frequency response as compared to G722 and low delay. And this is our preferred and most recommended family, Opus. Okay, we have seven different modes, providing from very low bit rate to reasonable bit rate, but always with very low delay and very high quality. Okay, so most of the times, if your remote codec supports for that, you can go with Opus only. Okay, every day more and more third-party codecs support Opus, not only AEQ. Okay, so I think this is enough about Control Phoenix. Maybe we have extended a bit more than we should, but I think it's important to know it. And as I said before, there is an alternative way to control the talent that I will show you. Okay, I think that I will keep Control Phoenix open because it is useful to see that we can have parallel control of all the modes, local Control Phoenix, and also the app. And I have installed the application in my personal phone here, and I will use a small free software I found to share my screen with you so you can see it. Okay, forgive me for a few seconds because I have to open this software just to share the screen with you. Okay. So as I said, we use this AirDroid. This is a free software that okay, there are many more that allows you to share the screen of an Android phone. Okay. It takes some time to connect. Okay. In the meantime, I will explain. This application is available free of charge for all Talent users in two versions, for Android and also for iOS. Okay, so you have to download the one you prefer or the one you have in your store, in Apple Store and Google Play. Okay, so now I am accepting here in my phone. Okay, as you can see, the application has a very similar appearance of the front panel of the unit. We have on purpose done this in order to make the learning curve faster because you're already used to the equipment controls, and then you will feel more comfortable with the app. Okay, we have three areas. At the top one, we have an indicator of the connection status, this blue one. It's not the power of the unit, but the connection. We have the connected sign that is equivalent and works in parallel with the connected sign in the unit itself, and also the view meter. They work exactly the same. And then at the bottom, we have three indicators that are also corresponding to the ones in the unit, except for the Bluetooth one that only indicates when you are paired for audio, because if you are paired for control, you already see in this indicator. And then we have the center area where we have a simulation of the controls in the unit, the help button that, by the way, I will show you. Okay, if you touch there on in the unit, you will have a sign here in the Control Phoenix to warn the controller that the unit is assistance. Okay, then you have the call and hang up buttons, and also the on air for the microphone. Okay, if I touch, note that if I touch here, okay, it reflects in the software, in the application. And then you have these two round buttons simulating the encoders, okay, that are they are actually buttons that you can touch and access the audio. In the left one, you will have access to the inputs, the microphone and the line input. If you open the mixer in the control software, you see that if you slide in one of the sides, okay, it will reflect in the other, or if you touch the rotary encoder, both of them will reflect the changes. Okay, it's just the same as in the Control Phoenix, so I don't need to explain more. But there is a slight difference because this slider at the right is actually a level control for the telephone. Okay, so if I slide here, actually what I'm doing is touching the microphone, the output volume of the telephone. This is very convenient to play audio with your phone to the talent and adjust its level. Okay, so it doesn't correspond to this level selector. If you go back with this arrow at the bottom, touching the screen, and you touch here, then you have access to the outputs. This doesn't require more explanation because it is exactly the same as in this control. So if I touch something here, you can see that it reflects directly in the other end. Okay, and the other way around. Okay. So once you have configured your audio, you can go back and you want to make calls. Okay, in order to make a call, just touch here and you will have access to 3 options to make a call. The call book, for some reason the icons are not, okay, here we are. The call book gives access to the equipment call book as we saw before in the software, in the control software. So you can simply touch one, accept, and then the unit will make the call, as you can see. Okay, so it's just the same. If you want to hang up the call, just touch this button. Okay, and after confirmation, the call will be end. Okay, you can also call using last calls. There is a list of calls made and received with the application, and you can also dial directly. Type in the IP and port of the remote end, and if you are in SIP mode, you have to type the URI. Okay, just type here, and then you touch here, and it will make the call after confirmation. Okay. Okay, as you can see, you have the connected sign here indicating that you are connected, and also this reception level indicator here indicating that you are receiving audio. This is the audio you are receiving, in fact, right? Okay, you have access to some other options here in the settings button, okay, like changing the operating mode, providing that you are not in the middle of a call. You can change the mode, okay, to RTP, proxy SIP, or direct SIP by touching this button. Okay. In the settings button, you have access to IP configuration of the unit, all the IP, mask, gateway, etc., and also activating or deactivating DHCP for automatic IP configuration in case you have a DHCP server, for example, your router. Okay. We have also access to a new feature here. This is an IP address you may specify to send control connection towards the studio, for example. So if properly configured, they will be able to control you in the studio, okay, without knowing my IP. Okay, as you can see now, I added this talent using its IP, but I can also make the talent itself to send the connection to the control, so they don't need to know my IP because it may be variable or unknown or whatever. If you have an Alio, a Phoenix Alio, you may already know this method method of content. Okay, so we also have access to SIP settings like checking your account name, password, and proxy server, but you can also change your account and select another server from a list of servers that are already stored in the unit using Control Phoenix. Okay, so you cannot add another server here, but you need to store it previously in Control Phoenix. Okay, without going in more detail, this is about it. So as you can see, you can do many things with the app. Most common operations can be done here. You can also check IP configuration in case you have trouble connecting with Control Phoenix. You just need a telephone with Bluetooth. And well, as we will see later on, we can do more things with Bluetooth. Okay, so I think we have covered remote control of the unit, and we can move to another topic. So we will continue with the presentation. Okay. So we have covered Talent Pilot, and now we will explain in a bit more of more detail the connectivity of the unit. Okay, at the right side of the unit, you clearly see the headphone output in a TRS connector for low or high impedance headphones. It is actually very powerful and can drive many types of headphones. And the microphone input in balanced XLR connector, standard one, and it also has a phantom to power condensing microphones. Okay, the preamplifier is very high quality, low noise, and we paid a lot of attention to its design to provide a very wide or great dynamic range. Okay. Okay, at the back you have more connections. From left to right, you have the Ethernet connection. Okay, this is the port you use to provide IP connectivity to the unit. Okay, here you will connect to your router, to your to a switch with internet connection or whatever. We will see later on. On top of it, you have two mini jack connections for line input and line output. They can be used to extract audio from Talent and record it in a PC or laptop or whatever. And also we can use it to add a third audio input, your microphone and your Bluetooth input, and also a third line here with an external level control. Okay, here we have another two connectors, a USB micro AV USB connector that from the user point of view, it's only used to provide power to the unit. Okay, here you provide 5 volts using a standard cable. You can power the unit from a laptop, from a PC, from a phone charger, from a battery, from a power bank, or whatever. Okay, so it accepts 5 volts here. And here there is an additional power connector to connect the provided AC/DC adapter. Okay, we provide one with each unit, and as opposed to what is written here in this label, it accepts from 5 to 15 volts. Okay, so it can also be powered by a car battery, for example, if you have the proper cable. This button here acts as a power switch or a power selector. So if you only have one of the power supplies connected, it will act as a simple power switch. Okay. The unit draws little current. It is less than 5 watts, so it has wide or large autonomy or range if you use a power bank, for example. Okay. About connectivity, how do you link with the station physically? As I explained before, you have an Ethernet port that you can use to connect to your fiber or IDCL residential router in your home. You can connect to an Ethernet switch in your company to gain access to the internet, or you can connect an external 3G, 4G, 5G router. There are many available in the market, even with a SIM card. You can use that to make portable connections anywhere. Okay, anywhere outside. If you don't have that at a given moment, there is a B plan. Okay, taking advantage of the Bluetooth connectivity. If you pair your phone for audio with the unit, you can make calls using your phone. Okay, and use that way of communication combined with the high quality audio of the Talent. Okay, so you can connect your microphone, your headphones, everything, mix your program, and send it using your favorite conferencing application like Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, or a simple GSM call. Okay, but using these applications provide what you call nowadays HD voice. It's similar to G72, so very decent quality for voice. Okay, so this could be an interesting new plan as soon as you have phone coverage or data with your phone. Okay, now we will go into some more detail about the audio routing of the unit, and although we have already presented that, but I want to establish some relations between the mixer you have already seen and the actual routing in the unit. Okay, so this is not a metropolitan plan, but a diagram of the audio inside the talent. And here at the left, you can see a microphone and line inputs. Both of them have their own level controls that correspond to these two sliders here, and each one has a switch to send it to program or not, the on-air buttons. These two on-air buttons correspond to these buttons here. Okay, so both of them are mixed together and sent to the go direction of the program, the communication. Okay, and you can also have two outputs, headphones and line output. Its level is controlled with these two sliders, and you can select a mix of three different sources. Okay, the program with this button, the microphone, or the line input. Okay, and the same for the line output. Okay, you have the program, microphone, and line input. Okay, so this is the audio matrix. Additionally, you have a feedback path here, so you can play some of the audio you are sending to the program back into your headphone line output, okay, with a variable proportion. This is this control here. Okay, so what you can do, well, as I said before, you can simply mix your inputs and send them to the program. You can hear your program feedback in your line output or, of course, in your headphones. You can directly listen to a local queue of your inputs into your outputs. Okay, and you can do several things at the same time. Okay, have local feedbacks while you are listening to a program in the headphones or whatever. So it's only limited by your imagination. It's worth noting that the line input and line output, as I said before, are combined with the Bluetooth input and output. Okay, so if you send something to this output, line out, it will also be sent to the phone as well as to the line output mini jack at the back. Okay, this is useful, for example, as I advanced before, to make interviews by phone. So you can direct your phone input here and put it on air just to have the remote person be heard in the studio, and you can also send your microphone to the line output, so the third person, the person at the other end of the phone, can hear my microphone. Okay, so we can establish a communication. Okay, and things like that. Okay, so going into a bit more detail, what are the advantages of Bluetooth with incorporated in Talent? Okay, the first use, we have already seen that, is controlling the unit with your phone or smart device. This is a data link using Bluetooth, but we can also pair it for music, for audio, okay, in two modes. If we want to play music and send music to the device, we can use the A2DP standard profile. You don't need to do anything, just look for the talent in your Bluetooth list and pair it for audio, just like it was a portable speaker or the hands-free kit in your car. And then as soon as you play audio with a music application, it will use this high quality profile and provide very high quality music to be mixed and sent to the program using the talent. Okay, but if you make a call using a conferencing application or a GCM call, it will automatically switch to hands-free mode. Okay, in this mode, the audio is bidirectional and limited to G72-like quality. Okay, that is quite decent for voice conversations. Okay, so you can make interviews by phone or with these applications and exchange audio with talent just to send and receive it to and from the program. Okay, and I think that's all by my side. Sorry for the little inconvenience before with the audio, and something happened with the compatibility of this free software for sharing the screen with the webinar application. So now Peter will explain you a bit more about the basic uses of the unit and more things. If you have questions, I will be available here, and at the end of the presentation, we will answer your questions gladly. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And yeah, no, I mean, these things happen. Unfortunately, you weren't able to hear me, and I wasn't able to take control back. But there you go. So in any event, if I get the control, I can show my screen like I'm doing now. And we will continue with the presentation. I will go through some simple use examples. We're running a little bit late, but it's a bit repetitive what we're doing now. But anyway, as you can see, this unit actually does many more things than one can imagine. It does it all, really, doesn't it? Because it allows you to control it. It allows you to use it as an interview tool. It allows you to be your tunnel back to the studio. And so the first example on how to use this would be the basic example, and that is basically just using this as a codec to transport your microphone in the best quality possible back to the studio, as if you were in the studio. The only difference between being in the studio or being at home would be the possible latency that you could have on the proper internet connection. That's it. But you know, this is a great tool. It has a great dynamic bandwidth. The sound of the microphone will be just as if you were in the studio. So it becomes an essential tool for making radio when you have to work at home for periods of time. You cannot go into the studio for whatever reason. And as I said, the voice will sound like you're in the studio. This lady that you can see there on the pictures is actually a DJ at the Top 40 or Los 40, which is a program here in Spain that is basically top 40 music, so contemporary music and top 40 list. And she's a host of the show, and she's doing the DJing from home using the talent. Another example, and which was the last part of Sergio's contribution here now, where he showed the advantages of Bluetooth, is that we can use the Bluetooth connection to interconnect our smartphone with the talent and use it to conduct interviews through Zoom, Skype, or WhatsApp. So we're taking advantage of the high quality audio that these applications provide to interview different personalities or people that we want to have live on the air with a good quality, and we can send that mix with my microphone back to the studio. So the microphone is sent as a clean feedback to the interviewee, allowing him to hear your voice without having the bother of the program feed in his ear as well. So it's like a tete-to-tete phone conversation, really. And the last way to use it would be, as I said initially during the presentation of what the talent designed for, it can be used as a commentator box or a talent box. Obviously, only for one commentator, but if you link or cascade several units together, you can have up to, well, you can have many commentators using one single connection back to the talent, because you can cascade the inputs to the outputs of the mini jacks. So you could mix these audio signals and send them back together with your main voice through the codec. All right. Now, talking about algorithms and the algorithms that we deploy in the talent, we are using the same algorithms that we use in the other codecs that we have in the Phoenix family of codecs. But we put emphasis on the Opus encoding algorithms because they offer very, very low latency. And that allows your voice to reach without any delay or minimal delay, and makes it very easy to have a return or talk back, where you may be hearing your own voice in return, but it won't be a bother because the latency is so low. So it gives you excellent broadcast quality with very low bandwidth, data bandwidth used. So both in mono and stereo, of course. But we implement a lot of other algorithms, encoding algorithms, in order to be able to meet the EBU and ACIP recommendations. So we are compatible with third-party codecs as well, if need be. We also include the smart RTP, which is a proprietary way of calling. You know that in RTP you need to call from both ends. With the smart RTP you can avoid that. You only need to call from one end, and if it's an audio codec from AEQ and AEQ Phoenix family audio codec, it will automatically hook off and recognize what audio algorithm is used in the on the calling side, and then connect. As you know, and this Sergio also touched upon, that all our codecs are registered on a courtesy AEQ SIP server. So with a codec from AEQ, we'll always have a SIP server account available for you to be able to connect without knowing the IP address of the remote codec. We also offer RTP relay with it's an additional service that we can offer if you have complicated connections that you want to overcome. All right. We have other codecs that we can connect to, of course, and the big brother to the talent will be the Phoenix Alio, which is a portable mixer and audio codec. It allows us to connect one or optionally two stereo channels, or 2 or 4 mono channels, bidirectional. As you can see, it's a very complex piece of equipment where you have 4 microphone inputs. One is a mic line switchable one. It has phantom as well. It has the same great microphone preamps built onto it. We've got local analog stereo inputs and outputs as well that can be used as monos. So we have 1 stereo or 2 monos, both inputs and outputs. And it provides full control through the Control Phoenix. We can even do some EQ on those microphone inputs as well. It's a desktop format, very sturdy. It sits very well on the commentator desk, but it's a great mixer that is ideal for outside broadcasts. Now, to connect to this to the codecs in the studio, connect with the studio, we need we need codecs in our studio as well. The ones that we recommend that you connect to would be 3 codecs from our family. That would be the Phoenix Mercury, the Venus 3, and the Phoenix Stratos. The Mercury offers a full stereo connection to the studio. It is in essence it's completely paired to the talent, in the sense that you have a 1 stereo connection bidirectional. The Venus 3 allows us to connect 2 talents to the studio at the same time on 2 separate stereo paths. And the Phoenix Stratos likewise would be able to allow for 2 talents on 2 stereo paths simultaneously. But it also offers the possibility to have a backup through ISDN for example, your STL or whatever you need the ISDN or X21 or V35 connectivity for. Right. Having said that, we've come to the end of the webinar and the presentation, and we want to invite you guys to answer some or to make some questions that we will answer. Please do that in the chat area of our webinar application tool. And if you at some point need to leave the webinar, as we said, and to help our marketing team to improve these webinars, please answer the questions that you will be offered when you leave the session. So again, thank you very much for your attention, and let's kick into the Q&As and see if we have some questions. And there are a few, and I will ask Sergio to come back with me and help me with these if need be. Hello, good to see you again, Sergio. Recovered
Hello?
from the microphone silence?
Okay.
Good. All right. So we have one here from Roger. He's basically asking, and I think we touched on this because you've shared both applications, if we need a station operator or technician in the studio to operate the talent.
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't hear you very well.
Yeah, the question is basically, do we need a station operator or a technician in the studio to operate the talent?
Okay.
Well,
no. Well, it's not really required. Okay, the technician in the studio is there to help you if you need to. But if they already provide you the contact data, the URI or the IP address, or you already know it, or you have
correct.
it in your contact list, you can make the call and they don't need to do anything. Okay, so
very good.
They can be there, but they are not required always.
Yeah, so yes and no. I mean, obviously, what the talent is made for is to help you guys to get your voice back to the studio, and you should focus on getting your voice back there at in the best quality, and to be able to have your audience to participate. So yes, but if you need help, it is always possible to control it remotely, but you can also control it locally. Yes. All right. Now we have a question here from Patrick, I suppose, because the question is for Germany, and it's if we can ship directly to Germany, and if we have stock. Well, yes, we can ship directly to Germany. We do have stock. We encourage you to contact your local dealers, of course, obviously. The normal delivery times for talent would be currently, it's standing at a week, a maximum of 10 days to get a unit out. We have a bit of backlogs, but once we're normally back, it would be the time it takes to get it through the door of our warehouse, and that's it. We have another question here from Abdullah. This one's for you, Sergio. You have to answer this one. Is there any special smartphone that we recommend for our app, or does it just have to be Android or iOS?
Okay, you can, as Peter said and I explained before, it can be iOS, Apple, or it can be Android. Okay, we have tested with a wide variety of phones. There is no special requirement. Okay, as long as it has Bluetooth port 4.0, for example, that is quite common since 5 or 6 years ago or more, there will be no problem. So there is no special requirement for control for the application. Okay.
Cool, good. There's a question here but I mean, you made these questions while we were doing the presentation, so many of these questions may have been answered already, but it's interesting that you made the question. For example, if we have some Mercury codecs from you, can we use them to connect with a new talent? And if we can use the same Phoenix control? Well, we've touched on this, and Sergio has explained, I think, very clearly that we can use the Control Phoenix to control both our talent and our existing codecs. Yes, so that's doable. We might have to do an upgrade, right, of firmwares and so on in order to have compatibility with the Control Phoenix versions, because it's maybe the database on the older Control Phoenix versions wouldn't include the talent as a codec.
Yes, if you have a pool of AEQ Audiocodecs already, you will need for sure to upgrade your Control Phoenix, okay, just to support the new product. That's what you will need for sure. But you can ask your sales manager or download it from the web page. It's very simple.
That's cool. So so we can actually download the Control Phoenix directly from the talent product page. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. There's a question here from Mr. Kung, I suppose, from Korea. He's asking if we can supply the talent with something for 4G connectivity, any adapter or similar. Do you want to answer that, Sergio, or can I answer?
Well, we are in the process of certifying different routers, because we have one. I don't think it's still available, but in any case, we want to homologate or to test more of them, and we will publish a list of valid routers for that. But there is no special requirement. As soon as you have a router which connects to the internet and has an Ethernet port, it should be fine. Okay. So
anyway, as long as we have 4G and LTE or 3G, even 3G would do for even if we might have some issues with control.
The important part is that it provides an Ethernet, port, RG45 port.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. There's another one here from Axel. We've touched on this as well because it's related to the bandwidth we need. If basically, what kind of bandwidth do we need to be able to connect with the talent? I suppose what we have to think about is both the audio connection and also the control, right?
Yeah, control bandwidth is negligible. It's several bytes per second, so it's not something you need to have into account. Okay.
Learning every day. Thank you, Sergio.
In order to send audio, you have different qualities, different bit rates, and okay, yes, in a nutshell, we can say that with 200 kilobits per second steady, you can have a high quality stereo connection with full bandwidth using Opus, for example. If you want to send uncompressed audio using PCM, as some customers do, you need more. You need like 1 megabit per second or 2 if they are stereo, something like that. But typically with 200 kilobits per second, you have a wide variety of modes that will suit every need.
Okay. Lisa, yeah, how do you, yeah, this is for you, Sergio, directly. Basically, Lisa's asking, how do we establish, how do we make a WhatsApp call on the talent, and then, you know, we don't use the talent to make the WhatsApp call. We use the smartphone
to make a WhatsApp
call. A WhatsApp call, but I suppose it doesn't need to be a WhatsApp call. It can be a Skype, WhatsApp. It's the same procedure, right?
Okay, you just pair the device, your smartphone, with the talent for audio. So you just go to Bluetooth settings, just select a device that will be called AEQ talent, whatever the serial number, and not BLA, but just AEQ talent serial number. Then you pair for audio, like any portable speaker or any hands-free kit, and then as soon as you make a call with WhatsApp, with GCM, with Skype, whatever, you do it in your phone, okay, and the audio will be exchanged with the talent. Okay, nothing special to be done.
Okay. So yeah, so it's actually not the talent that is making the call; it's the smartphone that is making a call. And what you're doing is that you take advantage of the audio that you have available on Bluetooth, or you could even connect the audio, the mini jack in and out. And what you do is you basically take advantage of that audio on the smartphone, and that's it. All right, then we have a question here from Pascal. Well, I'm not sure if it's a question or if it's affirmative. It says that he says that I'm not sure if it's a question. I think it is, but talent will be available in the next Tokyo Games, because normally I can see other larger commentary units from you guys. Yeah, well, not sure if I can talent. I don't think it will be used by the host broadcasting organization, but there may be quite a few talents available by the rights holding broadcasters when they're doing the their chronicles and what they're doing, their contributions, daily contributions. Probably not from the sporting venues, because there, yes, it will be the Olympia will be deployed, which is our commentary system. But the talent, yes, it's probably, or it will definitely be present with our rights-holding broadcasters that are using it as their tool of the trade, basically, to get their voice chronicles back from Tokyo later on this summer. Right, what else do we have here? Yes, from Raji. Do we need any special connection, any special internet connection if we want to use the talent at home? Not
no,
really,
as
right?
I said before, any current ADSL cable or fiber connection provides more than enough bandwidth to make a connection with talent. So you don't need to worry about that.
All righty, good. Then we have, well, there's a question about availability of this webinar later on. And yes, our marketing team will eventually publish the video of this webinar. We'll probably cut out the mishap with with the silent microphone of Sergio, so we'll probably reorganize that and to make it comprehensible. So yes, it will be available. Let's see, and listen, we have plenty of questions, but we've gone over quite a lot in terms of time, because we've had you here now for almost 1.5 hours. So really, we need to stop this, and any questions that were unanswered, we do reply to those via email since you registered. So we will close the Q&A now, and I would like to thank everyone for your attention. It's been a real pleasure to have you here. We can't thank you enough for dedicating the time to listen and watch these webinars, and it's a great opportunity for us to be able to explain and even show that we also have technical problems sometimes. So thank you, everyone, and we will close the webinar in a few seconds. But before going, please do reply to the questionnaire that our marketing team has prepared. This helps us to improve these webinars, and maybe, who knows, we're able to avoid having these technical problems at a later session. So again, a warm thank you to everyone, and we'll see you soon again, we hope.
Okay, thank you very much.